bringing us in on both streams. What's going on, Marty?
What's up, man? How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Clear on a bright and sunny Monday here in Manitoba, Canada. What's it like in Maryland today, brother?
It's cool today so far. It's early, so I haven't, I've been outside a little bit, but
I gotta tell y'all something. So I had a quick, 1 minute chat with Marty before the show, and Marty tells me last week that he all gets up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh. So I'm all like, I'm feeling motivated. I'm like, well, shit. Oops, sorry. Kids are still sleeping, Marty. Kids are still sleeping.
They're up. They're up.
They're up now. So I'm thinking about it over the weekend. I'm like, well, if Marty's getting up at 3:30. Like, well, I felt kind of like the competitive, like, well, I guess I got to get up too. So I get up at 4 today.
And then I didn't put any pressure on Keith to do that. So don't think that I'm the crazy guy in his ear. Like, you got to get up earlier. That was his decision.
And then I tell him
I put a lot of pressure on Keith, but not for that. It wasn't for that.
And then I tell Marty I get up to do I did 25 miles on the bike ride this morning. And he looks at me, he's like, Keith. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I only get up because I got my clients that I got to train at 3:30. I'm like, and he looks at me like this. What are you doing, man? Go back to bed.
Go back to bed. Like if I didn't have clients, I'd probably get up at like 6. Get my workout in, then start my day. If in a perfect world, well, maybe one day, but
there you go. Hey, intermittent fasting today. See, Marty, Liz Witherman is joining us from London, England today. It's the middle of the day for her.
London.
Yes, London. We're gonna do
London.
Hey, you know what? Hold on. The future is here today. Oh, wait, it's future. Oh, hold on. What's the sound effect for the future again? Was it this one? Yeah, there you go. The future is here.
Nope.
Hey. I had somebody on the show on Monday. He's from Australia. I got to record a soundbite for it because he was better than this. Keith. I recorded a segment with him, and I'm going to put it on later with a soundbite, and it's much better than that.
That's how Enzo says Keith.
That's exactly it. So coming up in a few minutes, we're going to invite Liz Witherman in the lab here. We're going to talk intermittent fasting. Marty, I started my fast last night.
How you feeling?
I feel pretty great, man, even after crushing 25 miles on the bike this morning. Because you know why? Because I crushed food yesterday.
As you should have.
Yeah, and I captured some video of it. So I think I'm gonna pull it up for Nation here in a couple moments. I captured some moments of my day yesterday. Gonna go through some story time with Keith, and then we got our show too. We get the accountability check-in. We get to see Marty Fit Tip at the bottom of the hour, creator spotlight, and then along the way we're gonna weave in Liz Witherman to talk intermittent fasting. And so I'm not eating now. I'm not gonna eat, Marty, until tomorrow. Yeah. So I should eat tonight at 10:30. That would be my 24 hours, but I'm going to sleep it, and I'll eat tomorrow after my train or before my train. So I think I'll probably do closer to a 30 somewhat hour fast. We'll talk about it with Liz in a few moments. That's my plan.
Hey, I admire that.
So I know me, and I think I can already get a sense of what's going to happen. I'm going to bring it up with Liz. Tonight I'm going to hit 24 easy. I'm going to get up on the show, and I'm going to say to you, Marty, why don't I just go the whole week?
I don't think you're going to say that.
I've done it before.
Really?
Are you dropping me a gauntlet?
Yeah.
I've done it before. I did 7 days before.
Really?
Yes. Just coffee and water. 7-day fast.
I couldn't do it, man.
Though you like the food too much, eh?
I love food too much.
Yeah. I love crushing the food too, but I did it. Yeah, it was 7 days. It's funny that 6th or 7th day I had my kids and my ex-wife saying to my kids, "Is your dad okay?" I'm all like withered away. But
yeah, and if I go to do like anything, like not just lifting weights, but like anything with no energy.
Yeah.
I don't like that feeling. But I don't have to eat all day. I kind of do have like a window I eat now that I think about it. So I kind of do intermittent fasting, kind of. Yeah.
I do. I bet you do. Yeah. Yeah. Keith Matity. Exactly. Yeah. And Enzo. Yeah. I love lots of food. I love lots of food. But listen, hey, Marty, we talked this morning for a couple seconds. Why don't I show you what happened yesterday in Father's Day at my house? Can I do that?
You should.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll pull it up and we'll throw
we're giving you permission.
All right. Let's do that. Let's do it right now. Hang tight. Let's do this. on us, and I thought I'd capture some moments of the day so I could share them with you guys on Mornings in the Lab of my day, Father's Day. A little behind the scenes of my life with my crew. Hope you enjoy it. Sup, Chiquita? Yes. Happy Father's Day. Thanks, kid. Yeah. I'm capturing the moments of the kids arriving for my show.
Wagwan.
Yeah,
Wagwan.
yeah.
Wagwan. Happy Father's Day, man.
Thanks, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That's awesome. So these are my kids.
Oh, yeah.
These are my kids.
Yeah.
These are my kids.
Favorite
Yeah.
kid.
They're my kids. Yeah. Favorite kid. Exactly. All right. Okay. There's Mom and Dad arriving for Father's Day. Hey, Mama. Papa. There we go. Say hey. You can see where all the looks came from. Clearly not from them. So here's my Father's Day gift. Yep. There's where we're sitting. A little bit of sunroom furniture we can all enjoy. Kate, family showing up. Happy.
Kate,
that's actually my happy Father's Day. That's right. That's right. Happy Father's Day, brother-in-law. Good to see you, brother. All right. And then I don't have a sister here somewhere, so sure get to be that next one. Okay, we have more arrivals. I got family coming in here. Happy Father's Day, Neil. And the rest of you really aren't that relevant. So it's just myself and Neil's day today. So yeah, although that is my sister-in-law, my awesome little niece too. So, and I guess, yeah, that's all right. Okay, more family arriving. This is my nephew. Let's see what he says.
What's going on, Steve?
No, you're supposed to say what?
No, what's up?
No, you're supposed to say what? Why are you here?
What? Oh, for Father's Day. Yeah.
Hey, brother. You should all see I'm the tallest one in the family.
Yeah.
How's it going, man? Good, I'm good. Nope. Here in the back. All right, so celebrations from Father's Day from me and my brother here, and you can see I got the looks for sure. He got the height. And the height. Wait a minute. Yeah, I got the height. I'm the tallest one. Here's the best part, Marty. Here's the best part. Oh, the food, man. Oh, I crushed that cake last night, brother. Last thing I had before I went to bed. Making Liz proud. All right, more love coming to Father's Day here. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so why are you here?
I'm here to celebrate Father's Day, and Keith happens to be a father. My
Yes!
husband's a father.
Yes, he is!
And here's my first daughter.
All right, so here's the crew in the pool. Getting after it. Father's Day activities in my backyard today. Oh yeah, there we go. Calling you out, Marty.
That's what I'm talking
Lauren
about.
making a spoon, see, Marty. Not you though.
Chicken breast.
Yeah. There we go. There's the chicken. Nice little pull back on it. Beautiful.
There you go.
All right.
You come here this summer?
Annually, I've always done the jump into my pool on Father's Day. This year, it's actually pretty cold. So we're going to do it anyway. So let's just do this. Check this out. Okay, so that's where I'm jumping. I'm going to go up there on the rock and jump down there in the pool. All right, you guys are all used to me with the hat on. Actually, I got a big parking lot. All right, take this off here. Let's get her done. You can stop it. Okay, so I'm going to top that rock there. Stop it now. Okay, so we're heading up to the top of the mountain at the pool here. I don't think this content's ever gone on LinkedIn before. Okay, so that's where we're jumping down. We are jumping down into the abyss of my back pool. There's my crew. Nobody really cares that I'm up here.
At all. Just ignoring Uncle Pete.
There we go. So I'm going there, and we're gonna film it from right here. Check this out.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, happy Father's Day. Getting coming up though. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in Business Atlas Nation. Blah blah. All right, so there we go. The annual.
Everybody's laughing because of the hair.
That's the annual jump in the pool.
There you go, Marty. There was my annual jump in the pool situation in Manitoba for Father's Day, having some fun and eating all the grub and all that. But that is what we did to yesterday, pal. A little behind the scenes of my life here for Father's Day.
It looked like you had a blast too.
It was a lot of fun. You know what? It was spectacular. Nothing short of spectacular. It was lots of love, lots of good food, lots of good times.
And that's what you want for Father's Day, right? So it was, I couldn't have asked for a better gift. I got, Lauren made the executive decision. We bought some fat patio furniture for the sunroom. It'd been kind of a mess forever. And she set it up and was like, hey, so that was nice. Brought everybody together. So it was awesome. So I'm really pleased I was able to share that with all of you guys and, just get some back, give some behind the scenes of what happens in my life as we get Business Athlete Nation getting close to us. So.
Hey, man, I'm glad you had a great Father's Day.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Of course.
So, hey, without further ado, why don't we bring in our guest, Liz Witherman, into the lab. What's going on, Liz?
Hello.
How are you? Let's do this here. There you go. There you go. There you go. There we go. This here. There you go. Yes.
Welcome.
Keith and C. Marty Fit bringing Liz Witherman, the intermittent fasting coach, C. Marty, right to the lab with us today. So, Liz, where do you join us today? And here's the part of the show where we like to ask this question. Oh, here it comes in the bottom of the ticker. Boom. Who's Liz?
Hold on, Keith. I got one thing to say to Liz before she starts.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to
the show.
We're adding new sound effects every single day.
Adding sounds.
More enjoyable. That's it. So who's Liz Witherman, Liz?
Yeah. So I'm not actually in London. I heard you say I was from London. I'm in the north of England. I'm near York. So yeah, I am a life coach and I niche in intermittent fasting. So what else do you want to know?
Well, there you go. So I guess we first of all offended you by saying that you're not from London because you're like, oh my God, I'm not from London, guys.
I apologize for saying London. I apologize.
It's a very small island, so north, south, whatever. I can see it's all the same to you guys. You're on such a big landmass. So
that's it. So as you said, you're a life coach, but then you said you dabble in intermittent fasting, or is it all part of your discipline?
Yeah, it is. It's I've niched in this area, so I particularly specialize in all the mindset stuff because the information's out there about intermittent fasting and the incredible benefits to our bodies and minds, actually. And so I'm particularly interested in sort of harnessing people's or getting people motivated to actually do the thing, because you can know all about it till you're blue in the face, but it's not going to do you any good unless you do it. So I've niched in this and I've studied it a lot, and actually I've just certified as a Fast Like a Girl coach with Dr. Mindy Pelz.
Awesome. So before we get into the science of intermittent fasting, before we get into the benefits, the negatives, the why, as you know, and as I told Marty, I started my fast last night after my big Father's Day feast. Before we go there, let's continue, Marty, to shine the light on Liz. What drove your interest in this topic? What's your background? Give us a little more to set the stage why people ultimately, Liz, should care what we're going to talk about for the rest of the hour. So they're like, who's this Liz person? We know who Keith is. We know who Marty is, but why should we pay attention to Liz? So sure. What drew the interest into intermittent fasting for you? And what gives you permission to stand in front of the crowd and say, hey, I can help you with this?
Yeah, well, in terms of put it this way, this is what I do. What I do is I explain to people what it is that makes intermittent fasting, and actually longer fasts as well, fasting an incredibly powerful lifestyle in terms of the benefits to the body and so on. And then I explain to them how to do that, and then we work on their mindset, and so that they want to do it, and then I hold them accountable. So that's how my methodology works in terms of my course. If you're asking how did I come to start practicing intermittent fasting in my own life, so 7.5 years ago, the background before that was I was always a yo-yo dieter, as so many people are. And so I never had a really massive weight problem, but I was always sort of bouncing within a sort of 2.5 stone window, something like that, bouncing to one end to the other. And so I had IBS symptoms, and I was uncomfortable, and I wasn't happy with it, and I was very faddy, and I was always doing I've done them all the faddy diets. And then what really changed for me was about 7.5 years ago, my husband died of cancer. And so actually Father's Day for us is always all about me and my children remembering their dad as more than anything else, really. So it's always quite a poignant day for us. And it's great to see everybody celebrating as well. So my husband died. And then at that point, I went through a very dark period, as you might expect. And I put on a lot of weight, and it was the way I was putting on a lot of weight. You know, I was just not paying attention to my health at all. I mean, during his illness, I initially lost a lot of weight, but then I sort of, as I was trying to support him to maintain his weight, I was, you know, eating for both of us as he was losing his appetite. And also I really hit the bottle and drank too much alcohol as well. And so by the end of that period, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's this thing called, I've forgotten the word of it, but basically the word for it, but a widow, true for widowers as well, in the first year after their bereavement are far more likely to become seriously ill and potentially die. And so I had these 3 teenage kids, and actually I was looking after my elderly mother as well. And so I got very interested in fasting, because not only could I drop the weight, which frankly I wasn't that bothered about from an aesthetic point of view at that point, but I could become, you know, I could sort of safeguard. I suddenly had this huge responsibility to safeguard my own health, and my health was failing. You know, I was napping all the time. I had no energy, and I had a big job to do to continue to bring up these 3 teenagers and look after my mum. So I think my first touch point with it was on the Rangan Chatterjee, listening to the Rangan Chatterjee podcast. So he's a big health influencer here in the UK. And he had, I think, Dr. Sachin Panda, who's the scientist who did a lot of studies on mice, but then ultimately on humans as well through his app. And it's all to do with time-restricted eating, which is an aspect of intermittent fasting. So there's different ways. So I'm interested to hear about what you're doing, Keith. So you're doing a 24-hour fast. And so intermittent fasting is a sort of umbrella term that includes different ways of sort of moving in and out of basically metabolic switching, moving in and out of sugar burning and fat burning. So there's different ways of doing it. Anyway, so I got interested in it. I'd actually worked with a nutritionist prior to starting my intermittent fasting practice, and I was spending a huge amount of money on supplements because my gut was in a really poor state. And you know, now I know that a 24-hour fast actually resets the gut and really is better than any supplement you can take. And so what you're doing is great for yourself today. So yeah, I don't know whether that answers your question of how I got into it. So then from doing it in my own life and finding that I got radically better energy, better mood, I lost the weight, I just felt great in every way, and studying more and more about it and all the benefits, I was you know, a certified life coach, and this was what I chose to niche in because a lot of my clients, it was the issue they were bringing, and it was something that I was very passionate about as well. So that's how that happened.
Wow. What an amazing story, Liz. Thanks for sharing that with us. This is the story of Liz Witherman, See Marty Fit Mornings here in the lab, talking with Liz Witherman about intermittent fasting. We're going to get into the topic of the science behind it, the whys and all that in about 2 minutes. But first of all, Marty, it's time for, that's not the right one. That's not the right one either. So I don't have the right sound effect here, apparently. I think it's actually...
what happened? Father's Day.
No, there it is. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Hey, Father's Day is over, man. Come on, man. Lock in.
It's this point of the show. We get into the accountability check-in, and it's here where we remind Nation who's tuning in right now. They're getting the day started, Liz. They're thinking, do I want to eat today? Do I want to do something important today? Do I want to not do something today? And we're saying, hey, here's 2 minutes to kind of create some awareness. Today's topic, Marty, with Liz, is do you struggle to keep commitments? Because we've all been there. We set goals, we fall short, we establish accountability. And life can be tough, but not impossible. So if you try something difficult and succeed, something you can be proud of, it can change your perspective on the difficulty of keeping other commitments. So what is that something? Maybe today it's fasting. Maybe you had a lot of food yesterday. Maybe you overindulged over the weekend. Maybe you just had a lot of chow all weekend. So when you make that promise to yourself and you stick to it, you'll become more accountable in other aspects of your life. Fasting is a powerful tool for learning commitment, consistency, and resilience. And as Liz is going to teach us today, you'll be a healthier human for it. So if you can push through it, and I'm on, half a dozen hours into my fast today. If you can push through your fast, it's a win-win. So think about it. What's your unconventional tip for staying accountable? And sometimes putting some food aside for 24 hours might be the way to go about it. So that's today's accountability check-in on Mornings in the Lab. It's myself, C. Marty Fit. Today, Liz Witherman joining Intermittent Fasting. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, the C. Marty Fit tip of the day to get you guys even moving. So we got your brain going. In about 10 minutes, 12 minutes, we got Marty talking about to get your body moving. And today is accountability check-in. All right, so we're going to dig into the topic, Marty, that we brought Liz in here today, which is this idea of intermittent fasting. So why don't we start with this question? Marty's in the fitness industry. He's talking with customers all the time. You're helping people with fasting. Let's start here. Why and what is, and explain intermittent fasting to the audience to kick off the discussion, Liz.
Sure. Okay. Thanks. So intermittent fasting includes time-restricted eating, and it also includes alternate day fasting. So what a lot of people, when they think about intermittent fasting, they mean effectively time-restricted eating. So that would be, for example, the classic pattern for a lot of people would be the 16-8. So in other words, they fast for 16 hours. So they do this on a daily basis. They eat within an 8-hour window and they fast for 16 hours. So what that would look like for a lot of people would be they eat at midday, or they open their eating window at midday and then they close it at 8 p.m., something like that. And then a lot of people might push that a bit further and make it more like an 18-6 pattern where you fast for 18 hours and you eat within a 6-hour window every day. And then some people squash it even shorter than that. So that would be a sort of time-restricted eating pattern. Then another way of doing intermittent fasting would be to do as I think you're suggesting you do, where for 1 day a week, you have a fast day. That's also intermittent fasting. And so, I mean, intermittent fasting just means you fast sometimes and you eat sometimes. So, but you do it in a sort of conscious way. And so a weekly 24-hour fast is going to give you lots of benefits around resetting your gut, and it might be a weight control tool as well. And as you say, a sort of discipline control to do with accountability generally in your life and sort of strengthening that discipline muscle. And then there are other ways of doing it as well. So for example, there might be, rather than a 24-hour fast, it might be 36 hours or 48-hour fasts. So there are dopamine receptors, for example, that get stimulated if you do a 48-hour fast. And then some people do longer than that as well. I think that at what point it moves from being intermittent fasting to a fasting practice, I don't know if anybody has the answer to that. It's, I mean, in my mind, 24 hours is still intermittent fasting, maybe 36 hours, maybe, and then maybe 48 hours is in the realm of fasting rather than intermittent fasting, but you know, it's just words. So it's yeah.
Marty?
Does that answer your question?
Absolutely does. Yeah. So we've set it up what fasting is. There's different types of fasting, you know, 6-12, there's the different 16-8, 8-16, so forth, 24-48. Marty, you know, throwing over to you, my friend.
Yeah, who's intermittent fasting for? Is it for the weight loss? Is it for an athlete, or is it for everyone? I know a lot of people, they think it might not be for them. Like I've heard people say, well, I'm not trying to lose weight, so I don't want to do intermittent fasting. So who is it for, or is it just for everyone?
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, well, I would say that to some degree it's for everyone. Maybe not, well, I say everyone. I mean, not if you're pregnant, not if you're breastfeeding. And the reason for that is that the fasting process releases toxins, and you don't want your baby to expose to those toxins. So not and also not for teenagers. And obviously within this space there has to be an awareness of people with eating disorders. So it's not for someone who has had an eating disorder in the past, most likely, or certainly who's suffering from an eating disorder. So there are people for whom intermittent fasting or fasting generally is not appropriate or suitable. But for the vast majority of people, I would say that even if you make it a 14-10 pattern rather than a 16-8 pattern, you know, there is really no one who won't benefit from restricting their eating hours to 12 to 10 hours. I mean, the problem that we've got, and the reason I think that this is a thing, is that the typical, I think in the US and Canada and in Britain, the typical breakfast you know, you get up in the morning, and we've been taught this myth that you need to get up in the morning and that before you do anything, you need to eat food. I think for me, there's all the science and there are all the studies, and I've studied this very extensively. The thing that absolutely I think is incredibly compelling about fasting, intermittent fasting, that has always persuaded me that this is the way we've evolved to live, is that if you look back at our ancestors, they did not have a fridge or a pantry. They did not get up in the morning and immediately start eating food. What did they do? They rolled out of their cave and they thought, right, breakfast. I'm sure they didn't think that, but right, what do we need to do? We need to go hunting. So the first thing they did, so I mean, personally, I always exercise in a fasted state because, you know, I mean, there are scientific studies. I think there's argument on that, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, Marty, but from your perspective. And to me, going back to the way our ancestors did it is really compelling evidence that they went fast walking to find their kill or to find their berries or whatever they're going to eat that morning before they consumed anything in the morning. So possibly I've gone a little bit off topic here at the moment. What was the original question? I've forgotten, but yeah.
Oh no, I was saying who is it for? Like who should look into it? Mm-hmm. It's okay.
I just think it's for humans, because humans were not designed to do what we in Western countries typically do, which is we get up in the morning, we eat some breakfast before we do anything, and then quite often people snack after dinner and they snack well into the evening, or they maybe have a glass of wine for adults and so on. So you end up in this scenario where for 15 hours a day on and off, you're consuming food or drinks that contain food, like, you know, whether it's alcohol or milk or whatever, and you're not giving your gut enough time to repair overnight. So if intermittent fasting describes what is not doing that and what is restricting your consumption into a number of hours every day, I'd say virtually everybody should do that. I mean, it's a matter of degree, how much. Like, even kids should be doing a 12-hour fast every night, you know? That just means they eat their breakfast at 8 a.m. and have their last mouthful of something at 8 p.m. That's a good habit for kids. So, yeah. So I'd say virtually everyone. So.
It's excellent. Thanks, Liz. Thanks. Great question in there, Marty. And I think, we clearly can have a long discussion around this. And I think what's happened is the internet is predominantly just weaved itself into our lives over the last 25 years is that, Marty, Liz, we've all eaten certain ways over the years. We just now have something to call it. Right. So when you say that, hey, kids should be on a 12-hour fast, what you're saying is that, hey, kids, before you go to bed, have your snack at 8 o'clock and you go to bed for 8-10 hours. And when you wake up in the morning, have breakfast. There's your 12-hour fast. Right. We've just gotten so consistent with labeling everything. Right. Where like even Marty yourself, you said, hey, maybe I actually kind of think I do fast because I do eat within a certain window of time. You just weren't even really thinking about it, Marty. Right. So we're just so caught up on labels. So we're going to continue the discussion in a few moments. Marty, you got to see Marty Fit Tip?
Let's see if it's up.
Awesome. We're going to come back in a few minutes with Liz to keep the discussion going around. We already talked about what is it. We talked about who's it for. Liz, I sat down with ChatGPT-4 Omni over the weekend and said, hey, throw some science behind a 24-hour fast with me. And I want to throw that on the table for our discussion in a few moments as well. But before we do that, Marty, are you ready to rock and roll with this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right. So coming up here, the See Marty Fit Tip. I got the sound effect for you today, pal. I got it right, too, man. I got it right. I love it. For you. So today, See Marty Fit Tip, throwing over you, See Marty, to talk about the Fit Tip for the day today, my pal.
Yep. So today we have fasting is good for your body and mind. Fasting can boost your fitness journey in surprising ways. Here's why. Improved insulin sensitivity helps your body use nutrients better. Enhanced metabolism burns fat more efficiently. And that's a key when it comes to fat burn, that metabolism. So sorry to get off topic, but when we talk about, certain shortcuts and fad diets and weight loss drugs that don't necessarily help your metabolism, that's an issue right there because it's not helping you burn fat long term. And that's pretty much everyone's main goal in their weight loss journey. Mental clarity sharpens focus and decision making. Tips to get started, start with the 12-hour fast overnight, like Liz just said. Gradually increase to 16-hour fast. Because I actually agree with that. I don't think you should start off with a 16-hour fast. That's tough. Drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. Listen to your body. Don't overdo it. Experiment and find what's best for you. And I like that too. Everything isn't for everyone. You got to do what works best for you. If Keith is doing a day or 2 days, that might not be best for See Marty Fit. My fast might need to be 12 or 16 hours. So definitely do what works for you. Everyone's different and everyone doesn't have the same goals. So just because you heard, Betty did the 16 hours doesn't mean you need to do 16. You might need to do 10 hours. So that's the Fit Tip for today. And again, that is fasting is good for your body and mind. So.
Awesome. There's the See Marty Fit Tip of the day. Fasting, good for your body and mind. Thanks, See Marty. We're doing these every single day at the bottom of the hour. Going to give you guys something to think about to get your day moving and get your day rocking and rolling. So Liz, Marty, why don't we continue playing off of what Marty talked about and let's get further into the science behind intermittent fasting. I sat down this weekend with ChatGPT-4 Omni and said, hey, we got a show on Monday. I was going to leave Omni in, but she was kind of acting up this morning, Marty. So I'm going to leave her off the shelf.
Not again.
Yeah, she just wasn't performing as good as she needed to an hour ago. So we're going to leave her off. But let's get into the science of it. So Marty, you talked on a couple of these things earlier, and Liz, let's call you up here too. So let's use myself as an example. I chowed down heavy. I threw a bunch of glycogen in my body and a bunch of carbs in my body yesterday. So the first 12 to 24 hours, glycogen depletion. So the science is that the metabolic switch is going to start happening with you, right? So the first 12 to 24 hours of fasting, the body depletes its glycogen stores, which are stored in the liver and muscles. So right now it's happening to me, right, Liz?
Yeah. And I mean, possibly the best way to tell when ketosis kicks in, or possibly the only way to do it, is to actually have some kind of a monitor, because because it's so imprecise. So it's very hard. You can't say to someone at this hour ketosis is going to kick in, because it will all depend what they've eaten the day before. So I noticed on your lovely video with your family, there were lots of cookies and there was cake and stuff. So if you'd just had the chicken breast and maybe a load of olive oil on it or something, you'd be in a very different situation from if you ate a load of cake and a load of cookies. So obviously there's going to be more glycogen to burn through. And so, yeah.
Oh, listen, Liz, Uncle Keith was building back last night in Marty's terms, man. I was building back over and over and over with each cookie and each piece of cake. So I don't know when I'm getting into ketogenosis today, which is, and let's let nation know what keto is. It's when glycogen depletes, the body starts converting fatty acids into ketones, an alternative fuel source for the brain and body. The process is called ketosis. And those of you that are aged like me, like extremely aged like me, you grew up with like the Atkins diet. That was kind of like the keto. Right? It was kind of pre-keto. Just eat fatty stuff and cheese and processed meat. And people are like, wait, processed meat? Exactly, Marty. So that was the olden days stuff around the keto diet. So let's go to number two. Number two, the science behind it. Liz, insulin sensitivity. Marty referred to this on the See Marty Fit tip, but lower insulin levels. Fasting reduces insulin levels, which helps improve insulin sensitivity. This can be beneficial for metabolic health and may reduce, Marty, the risk of type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Do you want me to talk about that?
Yeah. Both of you guys. Yeah,
okay.
What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, 100%. So there's some crazy statistic, like it's something like more than 90% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, and it's to do with this issue. And I don't actually know I've looked up what the statistic is in the UK, but usually it'll be, relatively similar. And there are certainly massive problems with metabolic health in this country as well. And yeah, absolutely. So the thing is that when you eat little enough, and specifically carbohydrates, so if you have, I don't know, a bowl of cornflakes for breakfast, then what happens is that puts up your blood glucose, and then insulin, the pancreas produces insulin, and the insulin causes the glucose to be swept out of your bloodstream. But then what happens is it overshoots, and so then you get a big dip in blood glucose, and then you feel hungry again. So typically a couple of hours after you've had a sort of pure carbohydrate breakfast, you're going to feel hungry again, and so then you might then you think, oh, low sugar, reach for a snack. I mean, this is exactly how I used to be, incidentally. That's so I was definitely somewhat insulin resistant. And so, as you say, and of course, insulin is the storage hormone. So the higher your insulin, the more you're in fat storage mode as opposed to fat burning mode. The two, you can't be in both at the same time. So what fasting does is what fasting does is, if no food's coming in, then no insulin needs to be produced, and then next time you eat, you're more sensitive to your system's working better. So you increasingly become more and more insulin sensitive. You're nodding there, Marty, and what do you is that your understanding of it as well?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And I like that you mentioned that too. It's kind of off topic, but with type 2 diabetes, when you factor in the fasting, you realize how preventable a lot of things are, like type 2 diabetes. And something as simple as intermittent fasting, you're like, wow, I mean, that can prevent it, and that can change the insulin sensitivity levels. That's crazy. So it's something that people don't really think about.
Well, we don't, Marty, because we've been conditioned in society to eat because of time. Oh, it's 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, time to have dinner. Oh, it's just time. Yes. It's just time to eat. So we've just been always being conditioned to, it's just time to always eat. And I remember back when I did my 7-day fast, you guys, about a year ago, whatever it was, my family was sitting down at dinner time, like, Dad, you joining? I'm like, no, I'm not really hungry. But yet I felt obligated, because that's what you do as a family. You sit down at the dinner table, you spend time socially, right, Marty?
socially, I was going to say events too.
Yes.
You know, and it's like there's always an event, like work, holiday.
Yes.
You know, just birthday. There's always something. You know, I
Yes.
don't know how it is in the UK, but that's how it is over here. And in America, I'm sure it's the same thing. But no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and what we're saying is we're not saying don't enjoy the events. It's just we as society have been taught these certain things, and then we all wake up 50 years later with type 2 diabetes problems across the world, right? So, Sarvina.
And say it was genetic.
Well, there you go. Good morning, Sarvina. Thanks for joining us this morning. No worries that you're running late. We are late to come in and acknowledge you this morning.
Sarvina, you running late. You can't cook for us. We need you. We need you on time.
Sarvina's cook for the lab here, Liz Witherman. So we're talking science of intermittent fasting. Number 3 on the list of science is autophagy, the cellular cleanup. Fasting triggers autophagy, a process where cells, Marty, they break down and they remove damaged or dysfunctional components. This can help protect against various diseases, including cancer and neurodegenerative conditions. And Marty, you referred to it a little bit in your See Marty Fit tip, but this here in itself, again, is that when you're not eating, your body is cleaning itself up. Liz.
Yeah, so I want to go back to the cave people and say that this is all about survival, our body's natural impulse to survive. So if you think about it, I mean, your whole feast fast, the feast fast pattern is what humans are evolved to do. So they'd, you know, after, like I was saying earlier, after they went hunting and went on their hunt and so on, maybe some days they didn't find anything. They weren't able to catch anything on their hunt, or they couldn't find any berries or minimal amounts. And so they actually went hungry that day. And in those circumstances, this mechanism of autophagy kicks in as a survival thing. And as you say, really cleans up our cells. So there was some, there was a Nobel Prize awarded for the research in relation to this in the 60s, and it's still being relied on now. And so this process of autophagy is like a cell kind of, it's a recycling system, as you say. There's quite a lot of disagreement between the experts as to when exactly it kicks in. And so some people say it's from 17 hours that 17 hours of fasting that autophagy kicks in, whereas others say it takes longer. But the way I understand it is it's like a dimmer switch. So it will intensify the longer you fast. There's a guy called Dr. Longo who has done some studies in terms of cancer patients using fasting while people are having chemotherapy. And
I've heard of this too.
Have you heard about that as well? Yeah. And it's been found to be beneficial. It's an incredibly powerful healing tool. And it's all to do with, in my mind, coming back to the cave people, it's all to do with nature. It's nature's way of helping us to survive when we don't have access to food. It's an incredibly powerful way of healing the body, and in terms of neurodegenerative conditions as well. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're now calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, and they're really seeing that it's all connected. It's very, very beneficial for preventing those kinds of diseases as well.
Continuing with the science behind intermittent fasting here as we're wrapping up the last quarter of the show here today. Hormonal changes. Human growth hormone. Fasting can increase levels of HGH, which plays a role in fat metabolism, muscle growth, Marty, and overall health. And then, of course, norepinephrine. Levels of norepinephrine, a hormone and neurotransmitter involved in fat burning, also increases during fasting. Bottom line is, team, your hormonal changes are going to happen when you establish and embrace intermittent fasting. Another one, Liz and Marty, I want to throw on the table from the science side of things, and this is a topic that's often discussed. I believe in culture these days is inflammation. Intermittent fasting has anti-inflammatory effects. Fasting has been shown to reduce inflammation markers in the body, which can improve overall health and reduce the risk, Liz, of chronic diseases.
Yeah.
Gut health. You've talked about this, Liz, when you first sat down and talked about intermittent fasting. And I believe this is where you really came from. This POV was identifying and understanding the gut health in this, if I think I'm correct, which was this not eating, Marty, gives rest for the digestive system. Fasting gives the digestive system a break, because we all didn't have pantries as cave people, Liz, as you said. Fasting gives the digestive system a break, which can help improve gut health and potentially enhance the diversity of the gut microbiome. Liz, want to comment on that? Marty, I see you guys both nodding your head on that. Liz.
Yeah, I mean, the analogy I like with this with this one is it's like a garden, and you know, your gut, our gut microbiome, which is immensely complex, has, you know, it's a bit like in your garden you have weeds and then you have the plants that you want to encourage, and so there are healthy bacteria and bacteria that aren't healthy and that are connected to inflammation and disease in your gut. And so what fasting, what giving the gut a break does is it allows the weeds to die off a bit and the plants you want to grow to flourish a bit. I mean, that's sort of an analogy to make it. And you know, there's a lot of studying going on because it's a relatively new area of science, the gut microbiome. But this seems to be one of the most powerful effects of fasting, that it encourages the good bacteria in the gut.
And last point in the science behind intermittent fasting, and Marty, I'm looking at you for this one because of, you know, what you help your clients often when they come knock on your door is weight management, right? So fasting creates caloric deficit. Fasting can lead to caloric deficit, which can aid in weight loss and help with body composition. Now, Marty, before I throw it to you, it also opens up a whole other door of potential risks, which we're going to get into in a few moments. But Marty, let's talk about caloric deficit and using fasting to achieve that.
Well, I don't know much about fasting, but what I can say is calorie deficit is so simple, but it's overlooked. And, you know, a lot of people try to complicate it and say it's not that simple. Yeah, it's that simple. So, and I think fasting is a great method for that. Once your body gets used to neglecting those cravings and not feeling like you need food or need to snack and your taste buds change, I think fasting is great. I know for myself, a lot of times, you know, I get up early to train. And like I was saying to Keith earlier, I think I do a form of intermittent fasting. You know, I just drink my coffee and water in the morning and I'm good. Like, I don't get hungry. I'm fine. You know, I'm keeping myself active, keeping myself moving. And then, not to get off topic, but Liz mentioned something else about the cave people. You know, they got up and just went to look for their food. So essentially, they got up and did a workout in the morning, if you think about it, before they ate. So so that's kind of, you know, we talk about fasted workouts. It's kind of what the cave people did too. So, and I'm sure they were in calorie deficits as well.
That's so true. That is so true. That's a good example, actually. When you think about that, right? You got up, go get some food. Go get your food before you eat it, right?
Exactly.
So that's excellent. All right, so we are talking intermittent fasting today, the science behind intermittent fasting. Myself, C. Marty Fit, Liz Witherman. We are going to tune our attention to for the next 2 minutes before we come back into the risks behind intermittent fasting, because it's not for everyone. So we're going to set up the last 2 segments of the show. First segment is, we like to take this time of the show to take a big light and shine it on somebody within LinkedIn Nation and say, hey, I like the content you're creating. I like the message you're putting out there, and we like what you're doing. And today, Marty and Liz, I found somebody who motivated me through a message, because we're so often talk about be happy, be happy, be happy, and so forth. But this gentleman presents a different point of view, and let me bring it up here. So today's creator spotlight is Let's do this here. It is. Boom. It's Simon Jeffries. There it is there. So Simon Jeffries is our creator spotlight of the day today. So Simon made a post, guys. He said, you can't try to be happy just like you don't try to be angry. There are emotional states that occur when you interact with the world and other people. Marty, you'll love this, man. Positivity is an attitude you can build. Cheerfulness in the face of adversity. One of the four pillars of the commando spirit. And why I brought that up is Simon Jeffries is an ex-Special Forces performance coach to business owners, operationally tested strategies that work in the real world, and he makes some great content. There are two types of pain in the world, pain that hurts and pain that alters. He talks about suffering. He creates some great content from his experience, I believe, in the commando forces and so forth, that I think just, causes you to look at mindset, causes you to think about resilience, business, and so forth. And I thought that it just really fit in with today's discussion around, my accountability around fasting and so forth. But when he talked about, we got to try to be happy, it's the same way with how we try not to be angry. So choose your attitude, nation. For today's Creator Spotlight, shine the light on Simon Jeffries, ex-Special Forces, performance coach, operationally tested strategies that work in the real world. So that is our Creator Spotlight for today, nation. Let's tune it back into the science of intermittent fasting. And I want to just close up the discussion here around this whole question about the risks. Liz and Marty. So some of the risks that were presented to me around intermittent fasting: nutritional deficiency, prolonged fasting without proper nutrition can lead to deficiencies in essential nutrients. Let's talk about that for 2 minutes, Liz, before we get too far. Because I'm going to say to Marty tomorrow morning, I'm not going to eat for the week. He's like, well, Keith, you're not going to be getting your nutrients inside of you. Let's talk about that balance. Let's talk about the balance of that, Liz.
Well, I think you have to apply common sense, really, Keith. I mean, fasting is tremendously good for you and healing, and eating real food, a variety of plants, enough protein, healthy fats is also very healing. And so clearly you need to nourish yourself in between the fasting. So I think, the reason behind Mindy Pelz's work, Fast Like a Girl, I believe one of the reasons behind her coming up with this strategy for women to fast according to their cycles was that some people were over fasting, women were over fasting and losing their cycles, so it was affecting their hormones. And so she came up with this way of teaching women to fast in accordance with where they are in their cycle. And so there are times, for example, in what she calls around ovulation, what she calls the manifestation phase, and during the nurture phase, so for about 50% of a cycling woman's cycle, what Mindy Pelz is recommending is that they have more of nature's carbohydrates, for example. So it is important. I mean, what I would say is that for anyone who's wanting to fast, read up about it first, or get yourself a coach, or make sure that you're not just jumping in and not eating for stretches of time without taking care to break your fast in the correct way, which will give you the nutrients you need, and making sure that you have some kind of a balance. So it's not sensible to just jump into long fasts out of nowhere. It's you have to pay attention to make sure you get all your nutrients. So yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think as we wrap up our discussion, Marty, I think the point is this, right? And I think this is the best way to present this, because Marty, you deal with customers every single day, in the fitness industry, wanting to come to you to either build muscle or lose weight. Liz, you're talking to folks, every single day about fasting, and this is what you do for a living. Here's the point, nation. We're not advocating or endorsing this. We're not saying you got to go do this. This is not for everyone. Individuals with certain medical conditions or those who are pregnant, breastfeeding, underweight,
or if you have a nutrient deficiency, you might want to think about jumping in there and doing that, and not doing that. I mean,
should avoid fasting or do so under medical supervision. Please, nation, don't just say, oh, because I heard Keith doing it today, or Marty's like, hey, do it. No, that's not what we're saying. The point of our shows in Mornings in the Lab is to have a conversation with experts like Liz, to present facts, present information, to give you things to digest, to give you things to consider. But please, don't just get off our show today and just start starving yourself. That's not what we're asking you to do. If you are considering this method of weight reduction or gut health or just a new lifestyle, pick up the phone. Oh, yeah, it's 1974. And call Liz. She'll answer probably because she was born the same year I was born, 1988. So pick up the phone, call Liz. She'll help you out with your fasting differences. And if you want to get into fasting, muscle gain and strength training, go talk to C Marty Fit. But Liz, what a great conversation today. Marty, this is great, eh?
Great convo. I learned some stuff. I'm sure you learned some stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely, this was great.
This is exactly the kind of conversation I wanted to have, Liz. You are brilliant. You're perfect. This is exactly the kind of dialogue we want to bring to the lab, to present to our audience, to things to consider and think about as they go through their day to help them out. Liz, closing words to you, my friend, before we say goodbye.
Just thank you so much for having me on the show, Keith. It's been fab to hear your perspective, and good luck with your fast. I hope it goes well and you feel great and you carry on.
Thank you. So I invite you to tune into the show tomorrow with C Marty Fit and myself, and you'll hear how my fast is going because I said this to C Marty, I know how I'm wired. There's a chance that I'm going to, so here's the problem though, Marty. There's a fridge full of leftover chicken up there. Exactly. And I'm like, okay, yeah, exactly. Scratch the chin. I'm like,
You gotta
okay,
be a man of your word.
when am I going to crush the chicken? No, either not till tonight or tomorrow after the show. So I got to play with it. It'll either be tonight to close my 24-hour fast, Liz, or I might sleep it off, and then tomorrow morning before my lift or after my lift, I'll crush the chicken. So see how I'm feeling.
Great.
I think that's a good idea.
That's it. All right, Business Athlete Nation. That is our show for today. Thanks, Liz, for coming in today. I'm going to put you back.
Thank you, Liz.
Quick second here, and Marty and I are going to say goodbye to everybody, and we'll come back and walk you out, okay? Hang tight. All right, we're going to do this here. We're going to do this here. We're going to say goodbye to Liz there. Liz, hang around there for a quick sec. Marty, good chat today, pal.
Great chat, man. Like I said, learned a lot of information, educational. I love these type of talks.
You and me both. So listen, let's quickly set up the week. We got tomorrow's conversation, foods to help you break your fast, foods to have breakfast with, healthy recipes that you might want to consider, Business Athlete Nation, to get your day started. Right, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Wednesday, we got Brooke Sweetheart joining us, Marty, to talk about business systems to get your life moving. Thursday, we're digging into athletic for life. I know you're knocking on some former athletes' doors. You're a former athlete. You're an athlete, not a former. You're an athlete yourself. Keach is going to be here. He's a pro athlete. We're talking Thursday about how to continue being an athlete for the rest of your life. I know me, as I'm an ancient old man here, I try to be an athlete every single day. And Friday, my friend, we're teasing up the idea here, looking for guests to talk about, you know what? Skincare, the biggest organ in our body that I think we often neglect or don't talk about enough, maybe. So let's talk about skincare on Friday, right? Both perhaps the male and female point of view, because it's a big organ in our body and we probably could do a better job taking care of it.
Agreed.
Awesome. All right, man. I look forward to come knocking on your door today, and then we got a busy one here today on Monday. You have yourself a good one, and I will see you later. See you later, Nation. Have a good one, guys. Ciao.